So here we are now at video number 32. So, do you understand what to do now? You in turn are to bear witness. But witness to what? All these new things. Because isn't all of this new? It's nothing as Christians we were previously convinced to believe. It's all new. So, can you bear witness to all of these very new things? And what happens if you do? You should have a gift offering to present to the high priest, Jesus Christ, when he really does appear. So, is Jehovah really doing new things? I'm going to read that scripture again in Revelation chapter 21. And it starts in verse 5. Listen carefully. And the one seated on the throne said, "Look, I am making all things new." Also he says, "Write, because these words are faithful and true." And he said to me, "They have come to pass. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. To anyone thirsting, I will give from the fountain of the water of life free. Anyone conquering will inherit these things, and I shall be his God, and he will be my son." So, has anyone conquered? And how do you do that? And who is it that might actually conquer the world? A world currently being ruled by Satan, and soon to be completely ruled by Jehovah himself. All flesh will come and bow down to Jehovah. So, who are the people most likely to do this? To bear witness to new things? And who might actually become God's son? They might actually be called God's son. So, I'll go back to Romans chapter 9 and remind you, okay, this is what it says. Romans chapter 9, you probably already heard this. It is as he says also in Hosea, "Those not my people, I will call my people, and her who was not beloved, beloved." And in the place where it was said to them, "You're not my people," there they will be called sons of the living God. So remember in Revelation chapter 21, anyone conquering will inherit all these things, and he will be God's son. So, have you conquered? Certainly, Revelation chapter 21 must be addressing these people, the people who should become sons of the living God. the remnant. But has anyone conquered? It says anyone who conquers will inherit these things. So there's only one person I know of who made the claim that he conquered. Right? Perhaps I should read that scripture. Here it is in John chapter 16 and verse 33. It's what Jesus Christ said. He said, I have said these things to you, that by means of me you may have peace. In the world you are having tribulation, but take courage. I have conquered the world. So, Jesus Christ conquered. That was about 2,000 years ago. So, has anyone else? Has anyone else conquered the world? Because it said in Revelation chapter 21, anyone who conquers these things will inherit all these things. So anyone that conquers. So has anyone conquered? Anyone, apart from Jesus Christ. Because that's what's going to have to happen. So how do you do that? And has anyone else conquered yet? Good question, huh? So, to answer that question, has anyone else conquered? Good place to start is the book of Revelation, chapter 2, and verse 26. Listen carefully to what Jesus Christ announced. He said, and to him that conquers and observes my deeds, his commandments, down to the end, I will give authority over the nations, and he shall shepherd the people with an iron rod, so that they will be broken to pieces like clay vessels. The same as I have received from my Father, and I will give him the morning star. So, there you go. Someone else can conquer the world. And there's a star involved in this conquering. Can you think of anywhere else it mentions stars? So here in Revelation chapter 12, it does mention stars. Starting in verse 1. And a great sign was seen in heaven, a woman arrayed with the sun, and the moon was beneath her feet. And on her head was a crown of 12 stars. And she was pregnant And she cries out in her pains and in her agony to give birth. To give birth to what? I'll go down to verse 5. And she gave birth to a son, a male, who is to shepherd all the nations with an iron rod, and her child was caught away to God and to his throne. Someone conquers when this great sign in the heavens is seen. Someone actually conquers the world. And it's not Jesus Christ. He becomes or receives the same as Jesus Christ. The same authority that Jesus Christ received from his Father. Amazing, huh? In the Lord's day, someone else conquers the world. Because up to this point, the great sign, it's only Jesus Christ who conquered the world. And here we have someone else. And in Revelation chapter 21, it says, anyone who conquers will inherit these things. And so, there's going to be more. And so who are those people? Those other people who will conquer. If you go to the last verse of Revelation chapter 12, it says, and the dragon grew wrathful at the woman and went off to wage war with the remaining ones of her seed who observe the commandments of God and have the work of bearing witness to Jesus. Why is Satan warring against these people who observe the commandments of God? Because they're the people, the other people, who will conquer the world, if they observe the commandments of God. Amazing, huh? But hold on, let's go to verse 4, because Satan doesn't want this male to be delivered. It says, and the dragon kept standing before the woman who was about to give birth, that when she did give birth, it might devour her child. It's Satan's world, and he didn't want anyone else to conquer it. And yet here, when this great sign is seen, another person is born again, who conquers the world. Amazing, huh? Is that new? So yeah, I'm going to read Isaiah chapter 66, verse 5. Again. Hear the word of Jehovah, you men who are trembling at his word. Your brothers that are hating you, that are excluding you by reason of my name, said, may Jehovah be glorified. They think Jehovah is in the midst of them. He must also appear with rejoicing on your part. And they are the ones that will be put to shame. So have you been excluded by reason of God's actual name? Name of person is no longer one of Jehovah's witnesses, excluded by reason of God's name. But what does that have to do with anything about someone else conquering? Well, let's keep reading. There is a sound of uproar out of the city, Jerusalem. A sound out of the temple. The temple that the Lord comes to and finds in a truly reprehensible, repulsive condition with a man of lawlessness. It is the sound of Jehovah repaying what is deserved to his enemies. Before she, the woman, before she began to come into labor pains, she gave birth. Before birth pangs could come to her, she even gave deliverance to a male child. Who has heard of a thing like this? Who has seen things like this? No one. It's all new. So, to finish this video, I'm going to read Revelation 21 again, and maybe it's going to sink in. What the Bible said would happen is really happening. Revelation chapter 21. Again. Who has heard of a thing like this? Verse 5, and the one seated on the throne said, look, I'm making all things new. Also he says, write, because these words are faithful and true. And he said to me, they've come to pass. Before birth pangs, she gave deliverance. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. To anyone thirsting, I will give from the fountain of the water of life free. Anyone conquering will inherit these things. And I shall be his God, and he will be my son. Sons of the living God.